So we'll see the next chapter, that is conditional statements. So in this chapter, we'll be discussing some branching statements, forward branching statements. So usually what happens is when you write a program which is having some set of statements, and when you start the program execution, always the execution will be sequential. It will execute the first line. After executing first, it will execute the second line, and then the third line, fourth. Sequentially, one by one, it will execute. It will never jump from second line to an fourth line, and then fourth line again to an first line. It doesn't jump, and sequentially it is going to execute. This is how your processor has been designed. Now, but if you want, you can make a jump from second line to an fourth line. Okay, if you want, you can jump. This is a forward jump. If you want, you can jump even in backward direction. So for doing this, you have a separate commands provided in a C language. So if it is a forward jump statements, we call them as an conditional statements. Whereas if you go for a backward jump, where in that case some set of statements will be executed more than once, we call them as an loop. So in this chapter, we'll be discussing about forward jump. So why we use this forward jump? Now, what happens is, in a program, you have set of statements. Depending on some conditions, I would like to execute some set of statements. Assume that you want to execute these statements by checking some condition here. If this condition is true, only then this set of statements has to be executed. If it is false, if this condition is false, I am not interested in executing these three statements. Other three more statements are there that has to get executed. But these three statements shouldn't get executed when this condition is true. Okay, when the condition is true, I want to execute this set of statement. When the condition is false, that time I want to execute the second set of statements. In such a cases, what happens is, if the condition is false here, then directly you have to jump to this place. That's a forward jump. If this condition is true, then you have to execute first this set of statements, and then it shouldn't execute this. That means from here it should jump to this place. Okay, that means in both the cases you are going to go for forward jump. In such a places, we use this conditional statements. So if this condition is true, I want to execute and then jump. If this condition is false, first jump and then execute and then continue. Okay, so that means either this or this set of statements has to get executed. In such a places, we'll be using a conditional statement. So C language provides different conditional statements. I'll just list out here. One is an if statement. Second one is an if else. Third is if else if. Here you can call this also as an nested if. Okay, if else if. And fourth one is switch. Okay, so first is if statement, if else if, and switch. So in detail we'll discuss one by one these all statements.